Hi everybody, I'm Les and this is Jacob. You might normally watch us for our prototype railroad videos, but we also have a train store here and we're going to do a review.
So we're going to be taking a look at Rapido's Amtrak Turboliner in scale. We're going to be trying this out. This is sort of a thing that if you guys are interested in seeing some videos on some in-scale and maybe even some HO scale models, this is a thing we may do more often. But if it turns out you guys are more interested in the prototype, then we'll get out and shoot some more trains. Alright, so we're here with Rapido's latest, high-end train set release, the Turboliner. I have the Turbo train that they've done in the past. I have a Pendolino that they've done in the past. This kind of follows in that sort of lineage of the premium complete train sets that Rapido does. So there's obviously no track in here since this is a premium set, but it does have a complete train. So this is I believe it's a 5 or 6 car set, and we have it all in here. Yeah, 5 car set, 2 power cars, and then the 3 coaches that go in the middle. We also do have the instruction manual here. It's kind of, I assume this is sort of based on old Amtrak paperwork that has, some cheeky humor in here and a lot of detail about the way you can adjust it to be more prototypical or more convenient for running it as a model. Information about how all the lights and the doors and strobe lights and all of that good stuff works. Information about installing a DC decoder. They do have some interesting features in here, like model railroad mode or prototype mode. So it changes how the model behaves when you change direction, because in real life you wouldn't shut everything down and run all the way to the other end and turn everything back on if you're moving the train in reverse. The crew would stay in the same cab, and that gives you the option to change how the model behaves, more like the real model or like a prototype. There's also some other details in here about all of the different sounds, and we'll demonstrate some of these as we get further in. Grand Central Terminal mode, so you have options to turn off the actual prime mover and make it operate as an electric engine, just like the real one would have to be able to go into Grand Central Terminal. So like always with Rapido's models, the actual paperwork is kind of interesting and it's worth going over. Alright, so not only in the box do you get your owner's manual, you also get a magic wand that Rapido uses to control the lights inside of each of the cars. Rapido throws this in with basically everything that they make now. I've seen it in models that do not even have lights, but this is basically what you do. There's a little magnet on one side, and there's a special spot in each of the cars where you can use that to turn off the interior lights. You got 2 power cars. This guy is the Turbo Club, so the rear part of this power car is actually a like first class club, more premium area, and then this is a turbo coach. Then you have 2 more coaches, and then this here is the cafe car. So we'll go ahead and take these out and take a little bit closer of a look at them before we get them onto the track. So we'll go ahead and start here with the power cars. We got this guy here. This is the turbo coach power car. So you can see on here lots of really cool details. You got the windshield, the strobe lights, the emergency light, horn, antennas. You've got the headlight and the marker lights down there. There's some grab irons all over the place here on the sides and on the front. You got some vent details on the roof. And then over here, you've got some more vent details. You can see where there's the turbo power and turbo coach decals along the sides, along with Amtrak, obviously. Up here, road numbers. And then inside, behind the windows, there is a painted interior with red painted seats. You can also see some really cool underside detail. Rapido always goes crazy with this. You can see some really nice intricate pieces here with some vents and whatnot. And you get a little glimpse of the unique coupler system that Rapido has used on this model. I believe that is similar to some of the other train sets they've done, like the Turbo train and the Pendolino. We'll get a look at that once we get it onto the track. And then this guy here is the other cab car. Functionally about the same. Obviously this is the Turbo Club, so it's going to have a slightly different interior configuration, but otherwise all the details are going to be about the same. There's actually also on the front here a little cover for where the couplers would go for connecting it to another train set or another locomotive, because obviously most of the time during operation that would have been covered, it would have operated as a complete unit and not coupled to anything else. And we've got two coaches here. These guys are going to be basically the same as each other. You can see that, again, you got really cool detail, especially with the interiors. That is one thing that I've noticed Rapido is always outstanding with, is the interior details. You can see it's obviously painted, all the nice chairs inside. You got some little step details underneath, and some more vent work on the bottom on these probably air compressors for the air conditioning. It's fairly simple. There's not a whole lot going on these cars. There's not really any like grab irons or anything like that that you're going to see on a car like this. You have really cool detailed end though, with some nice painted doors and probably lights and switches and whatnot there. The little windows in the actual door is a really nice touch, because most of the time you're not going to see that while the cars are coupled together. But it does add a nice little detail when you take it apart and probably put it in the box or take it out of the box. It's about the only time you're going to see it. And then lastly, we've got the Turbo Cafe car here. Again, this is going to be pretty similar to the coaches that we've already seen. The roof work is slightly different here. You can see the difference is there is another little notch here on the roof. I'm not exactly sure what that is. That was probably a vent for the kitchen or something along those lines. And you notice that there's no window here. That is the same on both sides, and I'm guessing that is probably either where there's a kitchen or there's a bar or something like that where counter you can go up and order your food from. The vent work on the bottom, the details down here are a little bit different, but still kind of the same idea. Alright, so the actual coupling of these cars is pretty simple, but it's not sort of what you're used to when you're dealing with model trains, N-scale or HO or anything. These are proprietary couplers that carry power between the cars. So obviously you can see each car has power pickup, but you kind of have to lift them up and push them together, and they'll kind of click, and you'll be like, am I going to break this or not? Pops into place, and then you're good to go, and you have an electrical connection. And then you just push them all together, and it's sort of, you can only do it on a straightaway, but now we've got them all together. But there is no way to uncouple like on the fly. I'm not sure that you would actually do that in real life either, but it's not designed to run each car individually. You couldn't pull it behind a regular locomotive. It's all designed to fit together as one train set. So now that we've got it on the track here, you can see the headlight there and the strobe lights operating here on the roof. And then obviously if we change the direction, you'll see the marker lights come on and the headlight fade out and the strobe lights turn off. Now there is an emergency light on there as well. I believe that that would only be turned on in emergency situations, so you wouldn't see that flashing normally, but I believe there is a way to turn that on. So I've got the emergency light on now. That is function 12, and obviously function 6 is turning the other strobe lights on, so if you really want to have a light show, you can have all of them on, although I believe, again, the emergency light would only come on in emergency situations when the whole train set has been put into emergency brake mode. Alright, so we'll go ahead and start it up here. That is the function 8, like you're probably used to. You hear the turbine spinning up. And I think it's ready to go. We got the horn here. We got the bell. And there's a whole bunch of other sound effects that we can play throughout the operation. You got flange squeal. You've got controls for the head-end power turbine, controlling the brakes, the doors opening. And then with function 14 we can turn on the Grand Central Terminal mode. And that'll wind down the turbines and it'll just go into fully electric mode. So it'll still make sounds while we move it because it's running in all electric mode. But obviously there's no turbine sounds. So now with the head-end power turned on, we can take a look at the model railroad mode versus the prototype mode. So in real life, they wouldn't shut down the head-end power on one end and run all the way down here and turn on the head-end power for this end if they were moving the train back and forth. Whereas when you're using the model, when you change the direction, it's going to move that sound from one power unit to the other. So when you set it in prototype mode, things will stay where they are until you tell it manually to change the direction. And that makes it more realistic, less like a model behaving how you would expect a model to behave. It's going to keep things more realistic because the crew, again, would not mess around with turning things off in one end and turning it back on. They would just leave one side on if they had to change the direction of the train. Alright, now that we've kind of gone through the model, we'll go ahead and run it around the layout here for just a minute. So a really interesting model. I mean, I've seen some of the Rapido's train sets before, and I mean, this is right in line with what we expected. We did notice, if you saw during the video, there was a little bit of flickering on this power car. We cleaned the wheels, and it's fine now. So that's always a thing to keep an eye on. A lot of the premium models, once you get lots of lights and sounds, they can be a little bit picky with lights. Now, do you have power pickup across the whole thing? There's only 2 powered trucks, one at each end, but there is power pickup all the way across, and there is some connection of power between there. But we did notice a little bit of flickering, but like I said, we cleaned the wheels and it behaved perfectly. So obviously that's something to keep in mind. We run our layout a lot here in the store, and that means that our track gets dirty pretty quickly. So when we did our break-in period of this, it may have picked up a little bit of dirt. So we cleaned it up. It runs just fine now. Now we do have a store here in Greenwood, Indiana, on the south side of Indianapolis. So if you're interested, worth stopping by. We do carry N-scale and HO, and we're always looking to branch out into some more scales here in the future. And if you are one of our prototype fans, we will have some videos linked here you can check out. Maybe if you're interested in some more model stuff, let us know in the comments, and we'll see what else we can do in the future.